Lost in Translation is a 2003 film directed by Sofia Coppola which explores the idea of self via the two main characters Bob and Charlotte. The film follows the story of a newlywed woman struggling to find purpose and a washed-up actor stuck working adverts and talk shows in Japan. There are many aspects of the film which I believe help convey the sense of self, the first of which being towards the start of the film when Bob first arrives in Tokyo. You can see that he looks very uncomfortable passing the billboard with his advert on it. The same can be said when he first gets in the elevator as he towers over everyone else there. This is just one scene that demonstrates Bob's loneliness and how he doesn't fit in, which we will look into further shortly. This hints that he is at a point in his life where not many things are going his way. He's in an unfamiliar country, doing a job he doesn't want to do, and is away from his family. There's even a scene in the final third where he says that he is lost to his wife, and wants to make changes in the way he lives his life. Charlotte also hints towards this moment of existentialism more gradually throughout the film, by wandering the streets during the day and watching people while her husband is out all day. It is revealed to the viewer during a conversation between Bob and Charlotte that she is stuck, admitting that she doesn't know what she's supposed to be, and is even presumed to be questioning her marriage by the end of the film. Lucy Bolton points out that the film doesn't make their spouses look like bad people, but by saying, both marriages are characterised by a lack of connection between husband and wife, distance based on the feeling that Bob and Charlotte are not truly seen or known by their respective spouses. This is not played for sentiment or pity, instead it underlines the emotional isolation that Bob and Charlotte each feel, and underscores their connection with each other, as they seem to understand one another and enjoy each other's company so much. This shows that even though they do get closer throughout the film, even going as far as to share a kiss at the end, what truly bonded them was the mutual understanding of a lack of connection with their partners. Throughout the film, there is a theme of loneliness that the two characters both feel, with Bob's being a physical loneliness as he's away from his family and friends, while Charlotte's being more metaphorical, as even when she's with her husband she still feels alone. On the first evening that we can see both of the characters in the hotel, they're both on their own, with Bob going to drink at the public bar and Charlotte sitting on the windowsill while her husband sleeps. Both can be seen as visually uncomfortable, with Bob being questioned by some fans before leaving, and Charlotte not being able to sleep with her husband due to his snoring. Charlotte spends a large portion of the film walking around Tokyo, watching people go about their daily lives, whether that be leading a flower-picking class all the way to spending time at an arcade. As she's seen doing this multiple times throughout the film, we can describe her as a flâneuse, which means walker in the city who observes a life to him or her staged in its prizing of propulsive activity and movement. Due to the language barrier between Charlotte and the locals, she is unable to communicate with the people she is watching, meaning that everything she sees she must interpret on her own. This leads to a few scenes where Charlotte sees some other couples in different environments, such as in the arcade and even a couple getting married. Based on the reaction that the audience can see from Charlotte, it seems as if she is relating it to her own marriage, and is sad that she's being neglected instead of cherished like the other couples. The ending of the film doesn't provide a concrete answer to if Charlotte confronted her husband for neglecting her, but the ending kiss between Bob and Charlotte suggests that the marriage is either over or at least on its last legs. The idea of free will is hinted at during Lost in Translation, with Bob being very much the iteration of it in the later points of the film, with him having mood swings, going on random adventures during his free time, and even going as far as to cheat on his wife. Charlotte, however, is very restricted, with her still going on her own explorations during the film, but still restricted whenever her husband comes back from work. You can see that she is tied down by these events that she gets dragged to, and can be seen looking around uncomfortably when her husband meets an actor who he's worked with before, which happens in both scenes with the actor friend. However, later on in the film, once the husband is away for a few days, she decides to hit the town with Bob and some of her friends, which results in a seemingly wild night full of bar hopping, karaoke, and even dodging between traffic to catch a taxi. With A.J. Ayer giving the definition of free will as, when I am said to have done something of my own free will, it is implied that I could have acted otherwise, and it is only when I have believed that I could have acted otherwise that I am to be held morally responsible for what I have done. For a man is not thought to be morally responsible for an action that it was not in his power to avoid. This definition can be used when looking at Bob and Charlotte's characters. As previously mentioned, Bob seems to represent the notion that you can act on your own intuition. However, Charlotte, for the majority of the film, seems to be very hesitant to do anything outside of her comfort zone, suggesting that her actions are more predetermined, but her night out at the end of the film suggests a switch to Bob's side. In conclusion, Lost in Translation conveys the sense of self via exploring the neglect from both the main characters' spouses, the loneliness and existentialism that arises from that, as well as looking into the concept of free will from the actions of both characters.